Cinema Classics is sponsored by the Gateway Film Center and is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to shows online at wcbe.org. I'm John DeSando.
I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
This is Cinema Classics.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so how are you watching movies these days?
Like you, mostly at home.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a long year, obviously, for movie lovers. We had to suffer through the indefinite delays of some of the great, most anticipated movies of our time.
James Bond is collecting Social Security.
Maverick, all this stuff. You know, and yet, as you know, over the course of the year, we did manage to go to the theater. We saw, you know, a couple of first-run movies, but also revisited a number of classics at the Grandview Theater remained open.
Yeah.
We went to Studio 35, you and I, to see The Burnt Orange Heresy.
Right.
Which, that was our first, I think, return to theaters to see something new. Not exactly a barn burner of a film.
Well, I had one you didn't rush to, Unhinged. With Russell
Unhinged
Crowe.
with Russell Crowe. So, you know, theaters did remain open, it seemed, for the most part.
And they are today.
And they are today.
Yeah.
What I don't get, I actually, now in hindsight, you know, it seems ridiculous that theaters were the ones that suffered so much during the crisis, because it seems like such an easily controlled environment, right? For the most part, you're remaining seated for 2 hours. You know, anytime we went to restaurants, everybody was masked up, everybody was distanced, and they had, you know, the dividers in some cases. But you know, when you're eating out, you're in, you're out. There's a lot more movement going in and out of a restaurant space, even to and from the table, right? That whole thing doesn't play out at a movie theater. So I'm not sure why, with maybe some more spaced out showtimes, that going to the movies became verboten.
Well, also because people like me discovered that actually it could be a fairly comfortable situation at home. You have a nice setup. You have your couches and your big screen, and I'm just recently got my big screen.
Yeah.
And I have to admit it's a great experience. But 3 weeks in a row I have gone to the theater.
Yeah.
3 weeks, seen first-run movies.
Yeah, yeah.
And I went to our local, what's it called, Phoenix, Lenox.
Right.
At matinees.
Yeah, yeah.
We were the only ones in the theater.
I know. It's bizarre to me. It's still like it. I get that there's a convenience to eating at home, seeing movies at home.
Yeah.
You know, there's that. But and I know that the restaurant industry suffered, but it seems that the theatrical experience, that there could be these long-lasting impact.
All right. What I'm hoping is that people are just afraid of COVID.
Yeah.
And they have stayed away for that reason.
I hope so, and I hope that, you know, as we start to come out of this whole morass, that people will remember what that's like to see a movie. I mean, you and I, obviously, we love the Gateway Film Center. The Gateway Film Center did, you know, some fun stuff last year. Some of the conversations, the online conversations that we had. They've done some virtual screenings.
Yes.
So hopefully they'll get back up and running here soon as well, because we want to see movies again. Let me ask you, thinking back on the theatrical experience, I know I have a couple moments in film that you remember specifically seeing with an audience, and why seeing it with an audience was special.
Well, it's obvious for me to say, you know, my favorite cinerama would be the How the West Was Won, or Abel Gantz's Napoleon when it came to the Ohio Theater.
Okay.
That was because it was the big screen. There's no way you could duplicate that on a small screen.
But what was a moment that you shared with the audience?
Oh.
That you felt like a shared kind of thrill or emotion?
Well, I'll remember, because we just talked about her, but I'll remember in Silence of the Lambs when she walks down into his lair. Absolute pin drop quiet.
Yeah,
I mean, just scary, cutting to him. And oh my, you just felt his power. those are moments you can't duplicate.
For sure. I know that there are too much emphasis is placed on the big budget spectacle, the comic book movie. But one of the last great audience moments I remember is at the end of the Avengers Endgame, when Captain America picks up Thor's hammer, and which was a little plot point that got teased out over a few years, and that he was worthy of picking up Thor's hammer, and the audience just erupted in applause. And the payoff of that, the shared thrill of
Yes.
that was so great. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, smaller films, you can also experience a really unique kind of shared emotion thing, which was, I saw years ago, this strange little movie called Safe. I saw it at the Wexner Center, directed by Todd Haynes, early Julianne Moore movie. I remember reading the movie as a black comedy, and I'm laughing. My buddy and me are laughing at this. One half of the theater is laughing at it. The other half was reading it as just a very dark, sort of emotional drama, right? So one half of the audience is gasping in horror, while the other half is laughing in delight. And I remember feeling that. I remember feeling how exhilarating it was to be seeing a film, and not that either one of us was right or wrong, but that we were sharing this weird theatrical kind of experience. And it's just that you can only experience at home, or in the theater, rather.
Similarly, if I am going to be reviewing a comedy, I want to be in a theater.
Yeah.
I want to hear. I want to feel the vibrations, because I'm tough on comedy.
Yeah.
I need them. I need the
audience,
audience to pull me along and do that. So, you know, there's so much frustration from my end in that we as a community aren't yet back to enjoying this great experience in a theater. But I have also found that, like, seeing a movie with you and Summer and Linda and others is a great one too, because we can talk to each other if we want. Now, here's the combination of the two. In the theater, with nobody else there, I can yell and scream and talk to my partner. I suddenly found the mechanism where I can have both.
Yeah, yeah, nobody there.
Nobody there, right?
Nobody there.
But the big screen is...
The other thing that happens when you're in a movie theater, you know, and we talk about having big screens at home and all that stuff, and, you know, I mean, within reason, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not, we don't have private movie theaters. Mine is just a regular 55-inch television, and it's not an expensive one. And that does help, right? But when you're in a darkened theater and there is a screen of a certain size, you are then enveloped in that cinematic world in a way that you just cannot be in a private residence. The screen, the darkness of the theater, it envelops you, and you get lost, if you'll allow yourself to get lost in that world. You can't get lost at home.
Well, and in that experience you're describing, in reality and figuratively, what's up there is larger than life. And I'm always reminded of this when you see somebody who is an actor from film, and they seem so small. Why do you think, John, that is? Because they're 10 times their size up on that screen.
Yeah.
And that's the art form itself is larger than life.
Right.
Well, let's go back to the theater.
That's perfect.